Harisha, you are looking very young in this photo.
Ayo, I thought I look younger in real life.
नहीं एकदम क्या बोलते your face
Chikna,
is
chikna
so
munda. Chikna,
Yeah,
chikana, that's what I meant to
ayo,
say, chikana.
chikna.
Rama. Guys, this is all going live.
So
So,
what?
huh. Hmm.
We all
Okay.
are.
Garima, if you can remove this AI character and just get me on full screen. I have no presentation. I'm just going to speak.
Your full screen.
Huh. I don't want to see this AI character. Yeah, okay, there I am. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
And thank you so
Morning,
much,
good morning.
sir. Thank you, Lataji. Thanks everybody for being here today. And it's been a while since I have been on the BLL platform because I've been traveling and somehow it clashes with my travel the Saturdays. But I'm so delighted to be here. Thank you very much. So I request everybody to say a good morning in the chat so that I know all of you are there with me. I can see Anisa smiling. Very good, Anisa. At least somebody is smiling because of the session or looking at me. I don't know, but somebody is smiling. So I'm happy. Okay. Great, great, great. Thank you. Umesh, thanks a lot, Umesh. You made such a beautiful poster yesterday, yaar. Mm, that was lovely. Thank you very
Which is
much.
nothing. Yeah.
Mm, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, so today's session is very close to my heart, which is related to sales. And let me give a quick background about who I am and why I have been invited to speak. Why that only Garima can answer, but uh, so there is something in my profile which told her that this guy should be invited to give a small session here. So I thank BLL for the opportunity. So basically, I run Wisdom Keys Learning and Consulting. And this company was established in 2009 as Hariharan School of Success Education, HSSC, whose name has now been changed to Wisdom Keys Learning and Consulting, because some very dear friends who give you straight feedback on your face told me to remove the name Hariharan from the company. I don't know what problem they have with me, but they said, please make it more inclusive and remove your name from that. You are not the only person in the company. I said, yeah, I got that. So I heard them out and we came up with this beautiful name called Wisdom Keys Learning and Consulting. So we're basically into sales training and coaching, into leadership development, doing corporate training related to soft skills. Uh, I am completing 25 years in November this year as a full-time learning and development professional. So thank you very much, sir. So that's a beautiful milestone that I am also looking forward to, because it's been quite a journey, and I still feel that it has just started. So there's so much more to do, so much more to take things forward, and the sales is always like that; it never ends. So you keep on trying to grow your business. I'm an author. I've authored 11 books. 12th and the 13th book are very soon on their way. So I write regularly on LinkedIn. Also, I'm also a columnist for the Financial Express e-paper, where I write a column called Success Spectrum. I'm very active on social media for hopefully all the right reasons. And so I have more than 2,000 videos on my YouTube channel, of which a few hundred are my singing videos. So when people get tired of listening to me, they go and listen to me, my singing. When they get tired of listening to my singing, they go back to listening to my talks. So I have given them wonderful options on my YouTube channel. So, and I hold a trademark called the Enter Trainer. So that's how I'm popularly referred to as somebody who brings in a little bit of fun element into learning and training. So, this session is not about me, so I'll stop here. Though I can go on for the full day and keep talking beautiful things about myself. So we'll stop here. Otherwise, Garima will not call me again ever for this session. Now, what brings me to this session is I worked in life insurance business as a sales trainer for 5.5 years with Max New York Life Insurance, where I grew to become a zonal sales training head, where I was heading a team of 120 sales trainers. And after that, I've continued in my entrepreneurial journey to do a lot of sales training across sectors, not only insurance, also banking, also IT distribution, also luxury hotels. So there is a very wide spectrum of sales training that I've done in India and abroad. So I've conducted workshops in Nepal, Dubai, and also in Ethiopia. So a lot of wonderful experiences that I've collected and across India, across cities and across sectors. And so what I've tried to put together is based on this experience, some thoughts in terms of how business owners and founders can work upon their selling skills. And there are some absolutely awesome salespeople here. So I'm not here really to tell you how to go about it. I'm only just sharing some thoughts with you. Like Rishi is an extraordinary salesperson. So is Venkat sir. I'm just taking a couple of names because I know them a little bit more in terms of what they do. So, but I'm sure all of you are entrepreneurs, rock stars who are doing a fantastic job. So you're already selling. So I'm not here to really tell you anything which you don't know. But I'm just here to make a very humble attempt to try and share some perspectives in terms of how you can incorporate the sales culture in your organization and within yourself so that that becomes an even stronger driver of growth for all of you. Right? So if you can give me a quick thumbs up and say that, okay, Harry, let's get started. Because I'm going to throw a question right now for all of you. Thank you very much. Thanks. Wow. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. So let me ask you a basic question. Is sales a science or an art? If you can quickly respond by unmuting yourself, or you can put it in the chat, whichever way it works for you. Okay. Rishi says it's both. Okay.
Art.
It's an art. Okay. Thank you very much.
It's a art.
Yeah,
Art.
Venkat sir says it's an art. Okay.
It's a science.
It's
a
a
chemistry.
science. It's a chemistry. Oh my God. I'm very scared of chemistry because I don't want to share my score in 12th standard in physics, chemistry, mathematics, and biology. So I'm going through emotional catharsis now the moment I hear the word chemistry. So okay, you should have chemistry with your customers. That's all I've understood. Okay, fabulous. So, okay, so I take this both as a more, yeah, Rishi, thank you.
That is good one, Rishi.
So, okay. So actually people don't take me seriously because of this, क्या मस्ती करता रहता है, क्या है? So, okay. So the thing here is I take both as the answer, but I would say that the greater weightage goes to sales being more of a science and less of an art. The art element comes into the picture when it comes to your style. It's how you are, who you are, what's your personality type, and how you communicate. So that's the art part, because that is something very pretty individual. But where sales succeeds is where it works more like a system, and where it fails is where it works more like an art. So it should work more like a system rather than an art, where people bring in their art into the system and not exclusive of the system. So to give a cricket example, so there is a cricket team, and there is a Sachin Tendulkar, there is a Virat Kohli, there is a Yashasvi Jaiswal, there is a Vaibhav Suryavanshi, there is a Virender Sehwag. Now they are all having their own ways in, or a Jasprit Bumrah, for example. They all have their own way to bat and bowl, but they are all functioning within the larger cricketing ecosystem. So in your organization, if you are a solopreneur and you are the only salesperson, or you have a team of salespeople, it's imperative that you work as a system, and the artistic or the style elements come within that. So let's take the example of Rajnikant and Kamal Hassan. So success and sales both are a combination of style and substance. So Rajnikant is more style, Kamal Hassan is more substance. Now, but can Rajnikant succeed without substance? Not at all. Can Kamal Hassan succeed without style? Not at all.
Yes.
So your
Yes.
substance, sorry. So your substance is the system, and you bring in your style within the system. So that's my take on the fundamental understanding of how a sales process should work for any organization or any product. So what I'm going to quickly do here is I'm going to give you a little formula so that you can remember the contents of this session for a longer period. I like to work with models and frameworks. So it's called LSM. So it's called LSM. So let's start with L. So where does the journey of becoming a great salesperson begin? It begins with learning. So a lot of people are entrepreneurs, they are even salespeople, but many of them haven't really undergone a structured training in selling. So can anybody share with me on the chat if anybody has undergone a structured program in the sales process or the selling cycle? Do you have a certificate from somewhere? Have you undergone an institutionalized kind of training, maybe 7 days, 10 days, 5 days, whatever? Anybody? Anybody has undergone before you became an entrepreneur or after you became an entrepreneur?
No.
So if not, then it's extremely important that you learn selling as a process and how it works, how it starts from prospecting, how it moves to problem identification, how do you do a need analysis of your customers, whether they need your product or not, what kind of solutioning you can offer, what kind of scripts you should use in your conversations. So I always call it the mere paas maa hai approach. It's important to have a script when you're talking to your prospects or to your customers. You should always be able to speak in a certain way. Communication forms an extremely important part of the sales process. And how you deliver is extremely important. So one, you have a great product, but that itself is not going to get you a lot of business. What is important is to have a proper process, and within that, you should know the script. So what do I mean by script? How do you book an appointment? How do you handle objections? How do you do a need analysis? And need analysis can vary from business to business, product to product, industry to industry. How do you offer a solution? How do you sell solution rather than the product? How do you ask for referrals? How do you create recommendations? How do you use closing techniques? So all this forms part of what is called as the sales dialogue and objection handling, which are broadly called as frequently asked questions, but the sales technical language is called objection handling. You cannot be a wonderful salesperson if you are not on top of your objection handling skills. If you don't know how your product is differentiated from others, and what kind of queries you can anticipate from your prospects. How can you solve their problems by answering their queries satisfactorily? And all this requires a lot of deep searching, deep diving. And most important in this is, why am I in business? Why am I a salesperson? What's the why behind this? What's the purpose behind the product, behind the business model? Why did I get into this business? So all that needs to have a lot of clarity, and all that requires a bit of learning. There has to be a learning journey. Maybe you work with a mentor, you work with a trainer, whichever way. So L stands for learning. And what we need to clearly understand is there is no business without sales, and there is no sales without a proper system. Because a business is not only sales, business is also HR, business is also finance, business is also IT, business is also AI, business is also accounting, but everything needs to be sold in a certain way. But for an effective sales organization, it's extremely important that the remaining parts in the business are completely aligned to sales. So sales is like the actor on the screen. He's the he or she is the visible factor there. Customer sees the salesperson, but what the salesperson carries is the ecosystem, the product, the culture, the script, the dynamics of the business, the vision of the business, so on and so forth. So it's a very long, beautiful conversation. But I'll just move on now to S, which is what we began with, systematization. So L is for learning, S is for system. Now, businesses have a finance system, businesses have an IT system, but a lot of businesses don't have a sales system or a learning and development system. People hire HR guys, they don't hire trainers. They don't have a learning and development department in many organizations. Even in the larger SMEs I've seen, they don't have. And they do haphazard selling, where the founder has a certain way in which the sales needs to be done. So that is driven in a certain way. But so if there are 10 salespeople in an SME organization, all 10 are selling the way they think is the best way to sell. There is nothing which is binding them within a particular system. So do I have a sales system? Do I have a system which allows me to tap into my prospecting funnel or my sales funnel? Are my salespeople trained end to end? Pharma companies provide 18 to 20 to 30 days of induction training for their people, which covers the product as well as the sales process. It's a fantastic culture that they have in the pharma organizations. And they are like, all those medical representatives are like half doctors because they understand every element of the human body. They have some awareness about the kind of medicines, and they are brilliant in the sales process because they are grilled, trained, and they are provided intensive training, and it almost brings them to tears, and I suppose to some of them, because it makes you really work hard. And a sales system, you cannot compromise. A system is something where you cannot compromise. Like James Clear says, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you always fall to the level of your systems. So I have a poor sales system, but I have an audacious business target. It is never going to happen. Simply because you don't rise to the level of your targets, you always fall to the level of your systems. It's a fantastic quote by James Clear in the book Atomic Habits. Do pick up the book if you have not read it. So what is your system? So do you train your salespeople? Do you have a funneling system? Do you know how to get more leads? Do you know how to get referrals? Do you have customer engagement programs? These are all part of a sales. These are all part of a robust sales system. So sales people development is also part of the sales system. We don't develop our salespeople. I see a lot of salespeople, they don't get trained, they don't get the right kind of inputs, they don't get encouragement. The toughest job in the world is of a salesperson, because there is nobody in the sea. If you fall in love and you get rejected, it will happen once. You'll fall in love again you get rejected, it will happen twice. It will happen thrice. Fourth time, somebody will marry you. It will happen. You will be sorted in life. But with a salesperson, poor guys, they get rejected every single day of their life. It's the toughest job and it's the toughest profession to be in. So they need empathy. They need to be supported. They need to be encouraged. So do we have a culture within the organization which supports salespeople emotionally, apart from, whatever other support we provide? So that brings me to the next very important point, which is M, which is mentoring and coaching. So, as an entrepreneur, as a founder, there cannot be a better salesperson than me, but I should not be the person doing all the selling if I have a team of salespeople. What is my job? My job is to make them competent enough, capable enough to take the organization and the sales targets to the next level. So for that, I need to mentor and coach them. Now, there is a technical difference between mentoring and coaching. We'll not get into that right now, because it's a separate session which leaders must learn and understand what is coaching and mentoring. But basically, let's say that you need to have development-oriented conversations with your salespeople. That's extremely important. You need to help them. You need to do role plays with them. You need to support them on the field, go into observation calls. You need to quiz them on the product understanding. You need to understand how they are dealing with customers. Very importantly, how groomed are they? How well groomed are they? How do they dress? Are they punctual? Do they reach their appointments on time? There are so many things that goes into creating a successful ecosystem around us. And so as an entrepreneur, as a leader, our fundamental job is to get things done and not do everything by ourselves. That is, if we have a team in place, and otherwise we should aim to have a team in place. So what is my fundamental job as a leader? My fundamental job as a leader is to be a coach and a mentor. I have to be a motivator. I have to be a facilitator. I have to be a coach. I have to be a mentor. I should be the solution provider. And if I don't have the solution, I should find the solution. I should facilitate. And coaching is all about enabling your people to ask the questions and and find the answers themselves. It is not about telling them all the time, and a lot of successful entrepreneurs have this bad habit of telling the world how to do business because they have made it in their life. So they think their formula is the best formula. It is like Virender Sehwag telling Rahul Dravid, you should play my way. Just imagine what will happen to Rahul Dravid and to the Indian cricket team if he starts playing like Sehwag. So everybody has their own, mojo, so to say. Everybody has their own way of doing things. So it's important to, so it's also understanding the 4 types of customers. It's about understanding the 4 types of salespeople. It's also important about understanding what kind of a person you are within the 4 types. Again, it's a separate session in itself because there are 4 types of personalities that we deal with every day in life. So what I'm trying to tell you, friends, before I conclude here is, I can go on and on here. But I just want to say in conclusion that let's be a fantastic learner in life. Let's start and keep on learning every day. There is so much to learn about the sales, about ourselves, about people, about business. And these little sessions can just give us a little spark and a little trigger to take things forward. So the 3 most important skills to be a rock star entrepreneur, which involves being a rock star salesperson. More than you being a salesperson, you have to be a great sales ambassador, is what I feel, so that your team feels inspired by you. So for that, it's the LSM framework, which I just quickly shared with you, which is learn, acquire the structured way of selling, undergo a course. I can conduct it for all of you for sure. So as you see, I've just done a little bit of cross-selling and upselling here, which is also part of the sales system. Okay. And so L is for learning, S is for systematization, and M is for mentoring and coaching. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless you, and thank you very much.
Wow. That was great, Hariharan.
That was amazing, Hari sir. Amazing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hariharan, for beautifully explaining the significance of LSM, which is learning, systemization, and M for
Mentoring.
Mentoring and coaching.
Yes.
Mentoring.
Perfect, perfect. So do we have any questions from sir?
Yeah, when's your next open workshop, buddy?
Okay, interestingly, Rishi, I had done this little workshop a few months back called Sell with Style, which is basically a 4 types of customers. And how to deal with each of those customers. And then I had announced that whoever is interested, I would like to do a 3 full days, okay, minded, a certificate course on selling skills, the traditional way of selling, So what you do, you do something fantastic with AI. So this is the foundation, and then all the AI tools and all the other social media tools can get added up on that. So what I do is the cake, and then the cream acquires its own meaning once the foundation is strong. So it's the cake story for 3 days, where I help people also define their business purpose, vision, mission, and values. The 4 types of customers, the entire sales process with scripting. What kind of dialogues to use, what kind of objection handling you will receive in your business. And if we have even a small group of 8 to 10 people, and we can do workshopping, we can do some group activities, and people will go out with their own mini sales manual by the end of the session, by the end of the workshop. Yeah.
And to
So
attend that,
yeah.
should they be ready with something before they attend?
No, not really. Nothing.
They can come blind.
Yeah. Actually, it's better to come that way so that so that you are not colored or judged. You're not biased in any way. Just be open about it.
Right.
And so the beauty of selling is the sales process fits into any kind of product or business. It doesn't change. The fundamentals don't change. How you adapt is what we will discuss in the 3-day workshop. How will you adapt the sales process to your business? Some elements may be relevant in certain businesses. Some elements may not be that relevant in certain businesses. For example, in learning and development, I cannot sell it the way I teach insurance people to sell. It's a very different ballgame. Yet the fundamentals are all the same. There is a sales process there also. There is an objection handling there also. But the content of the conversations are very different. So that's very important. So the most important thing I feel is we need to evolve more. We need to become better people so that we become better salespeople. So not that there is